Welcome to the debut edition of Upon Further Review. My name is John Enrietto. I am the sports editor of the Butler Eagle, flanked by Eagle Sports writers to my left, Mike Kilroy, and to my right, Derek Pyda. And this show will basically be about high school football. We will look back at previous week's games. We will talk about the coming week's games, make our predictions, our analysis of different teams, players, coaches, and hopefully we'll have a lot of fun with that. So what do you guys think about the new effort here? Derek, start with you.
It's been, I think, 10 years since we did this, and I miss it, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. I love high school football, and this just gives us more opportunity to talk about high school football, so bring it back.
Yeah, it's been a decade. I'm a little grayer, honestly.
I'm a lot grayer.
And I don't have my football jersey on because they don't fit anymore. I didn't get the memo about the Steelers shirts, so I'm a little bit upset about that, but I'll carry on. I'll be all right.
Well, 10 years ago when we last did this program, we all had those Butler Eagle logo shirts. I still have my Eagle logo shirts, but they don't cover about. They only cover about half my stomach, so it's just not
halter top.
Right, it's not a halter top, right? It's not going to work that way. You know, this is my. I'll go into you guys too, but this is my 21st year of covering high school football in Butler County, and I know you two guys aren't exactly rookies. Mike, how long have you been doing this now?
This is my 18th year.
Derek, what about you?
This will be my 17th fall.
Mike,
been a long time.
Yeah. Mike, you correct me if I'm wrong here, but didn't you cover Darrell Reeves in high school?
Yes, I did. I covered him against Slippery Rock, I believe, in 2002 in the Western Final of the state semifinals, and now he's retired. So that shows you how old I am.
Makes you feel old?
Makes you feel very old.
Well, I can trump that. I covered Randy Moss in high school, and he's just went into the Hall of Fame, so I'm even older.
Yeah, that's true.
Derek,
5 years with Darrell Reeves being in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I feel as old as you.
Derek, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, because I know you, for years, you covered Mars and Seneca Valley and plethora of great running backs that Mars High School's had. Who, in your mind, has been the best back to come through that school?
Well,
during your time here.
I hate to take the easy way out because he's the all-time leading rusher, but it's Bill Bear. Well over 4,000 yards rushing. And actually, one of the games that I was thinking about when we decided to do this show again involved Bill Bear. They played at Summit Academy back in 2007. And I thought going into that game it's going to be 42-6, 42-8 more. Summit Academy starts the game with 2 straight onside kicks. Cover both of them, score on long bombs right after the recoveries. Mars ends up winning the game. Bear rushed for like 250 yards, 3 or 4 touchdowns. Mars wins the game 35-28. But that game is a perfect example of how the difference between how you think a game's going to turn out. Oh, it's going to be a blowout, and just because of a chance that Steve Shear, who's still the coach at Summit Academy, 2 straight onside kicks to start a game. They go up 14-0, and Mars had to scramble to get that win. But Bill Bear, definitely the best Mars running back. And they've had good ones down there, a lot of good ones.
Yeah, they have. Almost like it's an interchangeable part down here, that fullback position in their.
Isaiah Johnson recently had a great career there as well, and he can be in that mix too, I believe.
So, given all of our years of covering high school football, you would think we would know what we're talking about. We probably don't, but you would think we would. But let's switch gears here. Yeah, we would. Let's switch gears. Realignment. District 9, Derek has merged this year. The WPAL has new sections this year. Let's start with the WPAL. Mike, your thoughts on some of these new alignments that affect our local teams as well?
Well, obviously, certainly 6A, Butler, Seneca Valley, in like a super conference. There's only 9 teams in 6A in the WPAL, so they're all going to be fighting it out for 6 playoff spots. So that's very interesting. And some teams moved up, some teams moved down, like Shaler. Shaler's one of the teams that moved down to 5A. So it's not the same section, but it's kind of not. So it's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. Also, we talked about Summit a little bit earlier. Coach Shearer, they're moving up to 2A, and they're in a conference now with some teams that moved down from 3A. So they have a very difficult schedule this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how Coach Shearer always has a tough job there with all the players coming in every year, how he adjusts he might be doing more onside kicks. I know they have a very good quarterback coming in, but it's going to be interesting to see how that all works out.
They do, and they play Knoch in a tough section too. I mean,
Yes,
Knoch is in a killer section. I mean, they could have a strong season and still miss the playoffs.
Yeah, Knoch, they're still 4A, and they're used to playing tough teams. But I was looking at, I mean, they got is it Blackhawks in their section. Some other really tough teams that came back last year and made
South Fayette, I think.
South Fayette's in there.
Yep.
They're a familiar foe for Knoch, but they stay in that same section, and it's going to be tough for Knoch, especially with the losses of Stapchuk at running back,
Yep.
Jay Carrick at quarterback.
Yep.
Not just from a numbers standpoint, but from a leadership standpoint. Those are two huge guys to replace, and they're going to have to learn on the fly because things get started. This week they play at Hampton, and that's actually a non-conference game. But then again, they delve into section. It's going to be tough for Knoch to get back to the playoffs.
This is what bothers me most about the realignment in Whitfield. Is a prime example. Mars and Knoch played last Saturday in a scrimmage, and to me, there's something wrong with that. You're talking about a long-standing rivalry, years and years and years, so much history there. And for those two teams that have to face each other in a scrimmage and not the regular season, to me, I've got a problem with that, frankly.
Scott Heinauer, the coach at Mars, and also the AD down there, he has told me he wanted to keep that rivalry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure he did. Sure.
I mean, it's a backyard rivalry. For years, it wasn't played. Then it was renewed in 2008 when they became conference opponents again. Mm-hmm. But you're also going to get a good gate at that game. Fans from Knoch, fans from Mars, no matter where the game's played, whether it's down in Jefferson Township or at the MAC down in Adams Township, a lot of people are going to show up for that game, and it's going to be a good gate. The host team's going to bring on, a good chunk of change that night, and it's kind of ironic because you look at college football, and a lot of the rivalries in college football, Pitt, West Virginia, are gone by the wayside. Now it's filtering down into the high school game, and it's sad when you got two schools 10, 12 miles apart that can't play each other, and they're comparable size. Mars is 5A.
That's exactly it.
I just understand why that game wasn't the week 0 game instead of a scrimmage.
Yeah, they really could have. I'm not sure what happened there. Of course, Hampton's a rival Knoch also,
true.
but yeah, Knoch. I just hate to see neighborhood games go away. I just don't like seeing that.
No more 228 rivalry.
No. Then the District 9, Derek. I know you're a big fan of the D9 football.
He's Mr. D9.
What do you think of that league? I mean, now you have a large school. I mean, no more KSAC, no more AML. Now it's one big league. You have small division South Conference, a small division North Conference, and a large school conference.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, there's 10 teams in the big school conference.
There is.
Which means all 9 games are going to be conference opponents. I mean, this week.
That's Karns City's schedule.
Karns City opens up with a conference opponent this week in Brockway, I believe, is it? It's going to be a lot more travel. You have to give something.
Moniteau schedule too.
Yeah, you have to give something to get something. What those teams are getting is teams more comparable in size. Mm-hmm. What they're giving is there's going to be a lot more road trips involved.
Moniteau gets to log a lot of miles on the old bus the first 3 weeks. They go to They go to Kane week 1 or week 0, whatever.
Yeah, week 0.
And then they go to Ridgeway, that new merger with Ridgeway. Johnsonburg, week 3. So wheels on the bus are going to go round and round for them.
Yes, they are. The good news is that Bradford actually comes to Karns City and Moniteau this year. Next year they'll go to Bradford. Right, next year they'll both go up there. Hopefully in September and not late October.
Yeah.
Could be nice. Well, let's look at roster sizes of some of these schools. Some of our schools, football, of course, high school numbers in general have been going down anyway. The concussion issue in football is very real with a lot of parents of some of these kids who want to play football. Derek, what are the numbers like for some of the schools that you're covering?
Well, I looked at Mars, and I think this is a pretty good indicator of what's going on with a lot of teams. 11 years ago, 2007, was Mars' last year as a Class AA team. They had 45 players on that year's roster, sophomore, junior, senior. This year, those same grades, 39. Now, obviously, the male enrollment at Mars has obviously gone up over the last 11 years, but the football team is not seeing the benefits of that.
Right.
This year's football team actually has less sophomores, juniors, and seniors than 11 years ago when Mars was a double-A team, and they're now 5A.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the concussion thing has a lot to do with that. I think with the emergence of lacrosse, I know lacrosse is played in the spring, but a lot of kids don't want to play two sports as physical as football and lacrosse in the same season. So a lot of kids are saying, okay, the physical sport I'll play is going to be in the spring with lacrosse. And obviously, as you know, lacrosse has just exploded down in the Mars area.
Yeah, but Mike, what about the numbers up at the Slip Rocks of the school?
Slip Rock has a huge freshman class. They have 20 or 22 kids. So Coach Wender, who's there, is really happy with how that's been going. Moniteau, their numbers are still down, but part of that has to do with this is their third head coach in 3 years, fourth head coach in 6 years.
Just 28 players there, right?
And just 28 players, but they're trying to get the numbers up, and that's going to be a process. It's going to happen overnight. They're going to have some stability there. Even though Coach Rotman, Bob Rotman, the coach this year, he's been an assistant for 3 years. He's been an assistant under 2 head coaches. So he's been there and the kids know him, but it's still hard because when you have that much turnover and you have that much, upheaval in a program, it's hard to get kids to come out. I know John and Butler, their numbers are spiking a little bit.
Their numbers are way up.
Close to cyber.
But before I get into Butler, Knoch's numbers are down about 13 kids. They're down 56 last year. They're down to 43 this year. And the real shocker to me is Karns City is down to 32 players at the varsity level. Now talking to their coaches, they're telling me that's more of an enrollment spike down rather than interest in football. They just don't have that many kids in school right now. I mean, so they think that's probably the biggest reason. Yes, especially at these smaller schools. But yeah, Mike, you mentioned Butler. Eric Christie, first year head coach. He relates well to the kids, which I'm sure helped bring some numbers up there. But Mike Seibert, a long-time assistant track coach at Butler, really knows how to talk to kids, knows how to convince kids to try different things. That's the main reason that the Butler's track numbers are always so high. Eric Christie recruited Mike Seibert to join the football staff this year as a volunteer assistant, and only half jokingly as a recruiting coordinator. And Butler has 60 kids now this year, sophomore through senior year. That's compared to just 40 last year.
So they have 40 kids, and they also have 40 kids as freshmen. So they actually have a freshman team. So that's 100 kids.
Yeah, and they have 40 kids. And they couldn't have a freshman team in the last couple of years because they had no numbers. Now they have 40 freshmen. That's an incredible increase.
Now you're talking 100 kids in high school. Now you're starting to talk NA numbers. NA typically has 100 kids. So now you're starting to talk about, okay, maybe they're going to be heading in the right direction.
If these kids can stay with it,
the big thing is some of these kids haven't played a lot of football, so what's going to happen when they get out and pads and they get hit?
Some plays.
Maybe they won't like it as much then.
Oh yeah, a lot of kids have played no football.
Yeah,
let alone
they're great athletes, but it's different. It's different animal when you're pads and a helmet. You got big guys running at you full speed, trying to knock you on your butt.
Butler's football program has been down. Last time a winning season, 1997?
1997. My first year at the Eagle, they were 6-4 that year.
So
they haven't had a winning season since.
It remains to be seen what kind of impact these kids coming on the team will have, but it's certainly a step in the right direction. There's no doubt about that.
Well, let's move on. It's week 0. The Pyda boys' new creation going back to last couple of years. I forget when he started with the week 0 concept, 2 years ago. How do you guys feel about the week 0 concept? I mean, it's second scrimmage versus extra game.
I wrote a column last year about it. I called it Week 0, WEAK, Week 0, because I think it's the most idiotic thing you could ever do. Why give them an option? Okay, you get one scrimmage, you play, or you get 2 scrimmages and then you play. Right. Why leave it up to schools to decide, this one counts, this one doesn't count? It's wishy-washy. Just make a schedule, make a decision. Okay, you play one scrimmage, then you start your season.
That's like giving teams in the NFL the option to play 3 preseason games.
I'm sure the Browns would have loved that. 4-0 preseason last year. They could have counted those. It would have been 4-16 instead of 0-16.
Jeff, your thoughts on the week 0 thing?
I hate to just basically agree with Mike.
You hate to agree with me? Why?
But
I'm wrong.
Obviously,
I like the fact that there's teams that play, but I think you should either go all one way or all the other. Either allow all teams to have a second scrimmage, or actually have every team play a game that counts toward your record. Go one way or the other. I vote for. I like having football a little earlier than we were used to the last few years. Mars is playing this week. A couple other teams, Karns City, Moniteau. But I say make every team go one way or the other.
Yeah, I think most teams, even the teams that play the week 0 game, they almost treat that opening game as a glorified scrimmage almost. I mean, it's always, well, I shouldn't say always, but 99% of the time it's a non-section game. I guess it does have an impact when you look at the overall playoff seedings maybe, but I don't know if I just think high schools need a second scrimmage. I mean, I don't like the idea of a high school team because they only start practice, 2 weeks before their first scrimmage. And then
one of those weeks is heat acclimation week.
Yeah. So actually 2 weeks. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. 2 weeks in the hitting with pads. You're playing a regular season game. I think that's crazy. I mean, I think you need a second scrimmage. That's my feeling on it. But we have week 0 and we have some games going on. Let's take a look at them. We got. I think a pretty intriguing one right off the bat. Butler travels to North Hills, Monterey Stadium, which has been a house of horrors for the Golden Tornado through the years. Just some numbers here on Butler. Since I go back, I mentioned I've been here 21 years. One of my fondest memories in terms of Butler football is the North Hills game in 2000 when Butler shocked them 28-20 up here. Jack McCurry, North Hills legendary coach, missed that game because of kidney stones. He wasn't there, but Butler beat him nonetheless. That was an unbeaten North Hills team at the time. But since that game, Butler is 0-15 against North Hills. They haven't played them in the last 2 years because North Hills dropped down in size. 0-15, and they've been shut out 7 times during this 15-year run. And overall, North Hills has defeated Butler 31 times in 37 meetings altogether. That's just one-sided domination.
That's a little lopsided.
That's a little bit lopsided. So all that being said, Butler's increased numbers, some maybe stronger, better athletes on the team. North Hills coming off a 5-5 season. And one thing about Pat Carey at North Hills, since he's been there for 5 years, his overall record is only 25-26. They've got a very ordinary program the last few years. So, what are your guys' thoughts? Butler, North Hills. Derek, start with you.
You took the words out of my mouth there with Pat Carey's record. It's just under 500. Yeah. They're obviously not the North Hills that Jack McCurry was used to coaching, but it is at Monterey Stadium.
It is.
You got the Rowdy Rooters up on the hillside.
Yeah, yes, you do. Yeah.
For a Butler team that has a lot of new kids, I still think that's a tough place to go down and open up a season first game. I think North Hills was a close one. We picking scores? I'm going to say 17.
You pick a score for
17-14 North Hills. But Butler keeps it close. I think they're on the right track.
If Butler keeps that game close, to me, it'd be a moral victory. Now, no one up at Butler's wants to hear anything about moral victories. No coach does, and no players do either. But you're playing you think a Butler team, you're playing a season program that does have some. North Hills has some key kids back this year. Butler has a lot of new starters. This is where, again, Butler more than any team I thought this year could have really used a second scrimmage to sort out that larger roster. I don't see Butler winning this game. I think it would be a tremendous boost for that program if they were to go down and find a way to win. But I picked North Hills. I'm going to say something along the lines of 28-14.
Yeah, I don't think this is the year that Butler's going to get this monkey off their back. Maybe in a couple years when they go back, or if they go back, or next year at home, but not this year. It's just too early in the process at Butler. Even though North Hills has kind of been mediocre to average, but they're still. I still think they're a little bit ahead of Butler at this point. I see 28-7.
We'd love to be proven wrong, though. Trust me on that. We'd love to be proven wrong. Mars at West Mifflin. Derek, you cover the plans. What are your thoughts on this?
This game is, you got Scott Heinauer at Mars. He's been here 27 years. Ray Brazo has been at West Mifflin for 25 years.
Yep.
this game has tradition and consistency written all over it. One thing that Mars may struggle with early in the year, they're trying to replace their 3 linebackers. They all graduated, starting linebackers, and they got only 2 of 6 offensive linemen back. On the other hand, West Mifflin returns a really good running back, Parrish Parker, rushed for a lot of yards last year. They have some talent, skill guys, a lot of speed on both sides of the ball. It's at West Mifflin. I think it's going to take a while for Mars to get their feet under them this year. I'm picking West Mifflin 28-13.
I have to agree. I think it's tough to bet against the Mars team, but West Mifflin also, correct me if I'm wrong, they give Mars trouble too when they play.
Been in the playoffs a couple times.
They did, yeah. I like West Mifflin to win this game also, but I think it'll be very low scoring. I'm going to say 14 to 7.
No love for Scott Hightower and the Planets. I'm shocked.
I still love
Scott
Hightower.
Well, how can you not?
You're going to go with it?
I'm going with Mars.
All right.
I just have a feeling that Mars is going to be good this year because I talked to Garrett Ranke this summer. He worked tremendously hard. He got in better shape. He was playing on 2 bad ankles last year, so he wasn't the same Garrett Ranke. So I think when he's going to be a big part of their offense, he's going to have a huge year. I think their quarterback has another year under his belt. I know he played a little bit last year. I think he's going to be good. I just think Mars is going to be really good this year. I think it's going to start off this week. I think they're going to start off with a.
Give us a score.
It's going to be close. I would say like 23 to 19 ish. They'll win by less than a touchdown, but they're going to find a way to win, and this is going to catapult them this year. I think to have a really good season.
Would be a big win for them, no doubt about that one. Knoch and Hampton, intriguing local. 2 teams used to be in the same league for a lot of years. They played each other for a long time. I covered Knoch, and they're back for Frank Whalen's second season. They're back with the triple option again. They lost the quarterback, as you alluded to earlier. Jake Harrett's gone. Ivan Stapchuk's gone. They're big productive running back from last year. He's up in Gannon, as is Harrett, by the way. They're both up there. Chase Mullen, a smaller kid. He was a kind of a wingback for him in that triple option formation last year. He's moving to quarterback. Not a big kid. They'll throw the ball a little bit, but I think they're really counting on a strong run game. They've got a sizable line. But I think in talking to Knox kids, they say that it took them probably 2/3 of the season last year just to get that triple option offense down. That is a complicated offense for a high school team to run. They say now they've got it down. They're confident. They're excited. They feel they're going to surprise a lot of people this year. I'm going to go with Knoch to win at Hampton in their first game. I'm going to say 28-20.
To me, this is the toughest game to pick this week because you got Hampton coming off a.
Knoch's always tough for you, but
it's always tough. I've been picking Knoch at probably about a 20% clip over the last 16 years.
So whatever Derek picks, I'm going opposite.
So this
strategy.
You got Hampton coming off a 2-8 season. The kids that they do have returning on offense, they're skill guys. Their numbers really don't jump out at you. They're pretty ordinary. At the same time, as we mentioned, Knoch is trying to replace some big skill guys on their offense. I think the difference in this game is going to be Knoch's defense, actually. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think Knoch's defense is going to come up with a couple turnovers, maybe one late, maybe a big stop late on downs, maybe. Taking Knoch 14-7, which is not good news for Frank Whalen because I don't pick Knoch well.
No, it's not going to be Frank Whalen. Okay, good.
Honestly, I was going to go with Hampton. I'm still going to go to Hampton, especially now that Derek picked Knoch. I'm going to go 14-7 Hampton, just to do the flip-flop. Because I think playing at Hampton, first game of the season, you do have new kids trying to execute this triple option. You were right. Last year, they really took off about 2/3 through the season.
Remember, they shot hard the season.
They finally started clicking in that offense, and I think it's going to take them a few games again this year to start clicking. So I think it's a bad matchup. First week on the road, triple option, bunch of new kids running it. I think Knoch will be good down the stretch. They will be in contention for a playoff spot, but it's going to be a tough first week. Like I said, 14-7 Hampton.
Good. Albert Gallatin at Cardinal Rural North Catholic.
This match.
I don't even know what to say about this game. To me, it's an obvious mismatch. Cardinal North Catholic could be one of the stronger teams in their class this year in the WPIAL. Albert Gallatin is Albert Gallatin. They never win. They're never good. And I'm going to say...
We can say that because they're not Butler.
Yeah, I'm going to say North Catholic wins this game. I'm going to say 45-6.
I'm going to say it's definitely going to be a mercy rule game. It's going to be mercy rule after the first half. I'm going to say 49-0. I don't think we're going to
Shut up.
Shut up.
I don't know. This might be the weirdest matchup I've seen.
It is a very strange matchup.
I mean, you're talking Albert Gallatin's like 10 miles north of Morgantown.
Yep.
And they're next year, Cardinal World has to go down there, which is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Send Mike down to that one.
I'll go.
Cardinal World's between Zach Rocco back at quarterback, Nakai Hill-Green at linebacker, and he also plays on offense. As you said, Cardinal World not only has a chance to be one of the best teams in their class, they have a good chance to be one of the best teams in the state this year. That's my opinion. Albert Gallatin last year found a way. I don't know how they did it. They found a way last year to beat West Mifflin, but I think that was kind of a blind squirrel finding its name.
That is a shocker.
They did. They beat West Mifflin.
I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
Cardinal World, I like them by 4 scores. I'm going to pick them 40-14, and that's being pretty generous to Albert Gallatin.
It's an intriguing season opener at Karns City. Brockway comes down. This is all part of the realignment of District 9. Brockway is now on Karns City's regular season schedule. These teams used to meet the playoffs a couple times a few years back, but it's been a while. And Brockway coming off a 6-4 season. Karns City coming off a 7-5 season. Of course, new head coach Joe Sherwin after 18 years as offensive coordinator at Karns City. He's taken over. The quarterback's back, and Anthony Kamensky. A couple of running backs are back, but they're part-time running backs. Of course, Karns City uses a lot of running backs all the time anyway. I don't know how much difference that'll make. This is a tough opener for Karns City. They remember they lost their opener last year, Armstrong, and that was at Karns City. But I think this year, I don't see them losing their opener 2 straight years. Although I will say, I think this could be one of the better games of the weekend. I'm going to pick Karns City to win this game 27-21.
Joe Sherman, how long was he on the step up there?
18 years as offensive coordinator. He's got 21 years in their system.
That's a long time, but to me, there's...
And the Karns City graduate, too.
Karns City graduate. Yeah. To me, there's still a transition that the team has to make with the head guy. Ed Conto was there for years, and now they got a new head guy. And maybe there's a few things that he does a little bit differently than Ed Conto would have had he still been there. And you got a Brockway team coming in with their quarterback passed for 1,800 yards last year.
Yep.
Their 2 running backs, Tyler Serafini and John Wood, combined for 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns last year on the ground. It is a tough opener. It is at Karns City. I know that obviously plays to the Gremlins' favor, but I gotta go with Brockway here. I think they're going to pull this one out. I picked 31-21.
I should add too, Mike, before we get your comments on it. Right? Karns City does have a lot of first-year starters too. They return very few starters.
That's why I'm going with Brockway. I just think there's going to be some growing pains there. New coach, he might do things differently. He might not be on the same page with some of these new guys coming in right away. I think they're going to be good again eventually. I just don't think it's going to be happening in the opener. I think Brockway's going to go in there and stun them a little bit. Say 21-14.
Okay. Another D9 matchup involving a local school. Moniteau, they're hitting the road heading up to beautiful Kane.
I think they already left.
Yeah, they may have already left. They make it there by kickoff. But Kane's a perennial D9 playoff team. Always a very solid program. Moniteau, as we touched upon earlier, only 28 players on their roster.
But they're a good 28.
Yeah, well, sure. They do have a veteran quarterback. They have a veteran quarterback back. But going up to Kane, I think that's a tough assignment for your first game. I got to go with Kane to win that game. I'm going to say, I think we'll give them a fight, though. I'm going to say 27-14. Kane.
Yeah, Kane pounded them last year. I think it was 55-7. I talked to Chance Nagy, their third 3-year starter, and he said they have some revenge on their mind. Like you said, their numbers are down, but the 28 players they have, as long as they stay healthy, are going to be very 1 through 28. They're all all very good players. So, but the thing is, they have to stay healthy, especially Chance Nagy. I believe in Chance. I think he's going to take another step forward. I think they're going to make it close, but that
You're taking a chance on Chance?
Taking a chance on Chance,
Chance.
but maybe not week 1 because that's a tough road trip.
Right.
Kane's usually pretty good, but I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be around 32 to. I'll go 32 to 20.
Okay. Derek?
Kane has won. Last year they lost in the District 9 title in Clarion. The 3 years previous to that, they won the District 9 title. But all that aside, this is all I need to know about Kane right now. The state of their football program. The last time they lost at home, you have to go back to October 17th, 2014. So
wow.
This is an incredibly tough draw for Moniteau to open the season with. As you said, they got talented kids, but the numbers aren't where they need to be as far as the number of kids on their team, the roster. They're going into the Wolves' den, literally. So Moniteau might come back this year and make a run at the playoffs, but this game, first week, 34-14, Kane. I don't think Moniteau is going to have a good Friday night.
In our last week 0 matchup, Slippery Rock, the Rockets heading up to Erie Way to face General McLean. Mike, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Slippery Rock is another team that they've been 4-7 the last 2 years, but the last 2 years they've made the playoffs. They've gone into the playoffs. They've won the first playoff game. Again, it's a tough first week draw for Slippery Rock. To go all the way up there and play a pretty good General McLean team. But I think Slippery Rock's going to shock them. I think Slippery Rock's going to be really good this year. They have some very talented running backs. They have 2 quarterbacks who have gotten better. Last year they struggled throwing the ball. I think this year they're going to throw the ball a lot better. So I think they're going to go up and shock them. I think they're going to win 30-28. Yeah,
General McLean was that was a site a couple years back. I covered this game when Slippery Rock went up there. I believe they played Mercer's Prep on a playoff game, and Slippery Rock was like 3-6 going into that game, and they upset Mercer's Prep. Actually dominated them with their running game. But to me, going up there to face General McLean in an opener, I think Slippery Rock. I think this could also be a good game, but I've got to go with the home team in this one. But I'm going close again. I'm going 24-20. General McLean.
General McLean had not even 400 yards passing last year as a team. The whole season, they had 340.
Oh, they're running team. They're done about that.
What they hung their hat on last year was the running of the Sears Singleton, and 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns. But he graduated. He's gone. They might have another running back in the waiting that can put up those kinds of numbers.
Yeah.
But Slippery Rocks played really good defense under Larry Winterhughes, and each year they've upset a few teams. I don't even think this would be that much of an upset. The game is in Edinburgh, but I like the direction Slippery Rocks program is going, and I like them in this game. I'm going to pick them by 10, 24, 14.
All right. Well, let's look on. We got some new coaches in the county this year. Eric Christie's at Butler. Of course, you mentioned Joe Sherman at Karns City, Bob Rupp under at Moniteau, Brad Dittman is the new head coach at Union AC Valley, which you mentioned earlier. They even with a consolidation, they only got 30 kids too, so that's not a large roster there. But let me pose this question to you guys: out of these 4 guys, Christie at Butler, Sherman at Karns City, Rupp at Moniteau, Dittman at Union AC Valley, who's got the best chance for immediate results? Meaning to really make a mark on the program right away as a first-year coach.
I know I picked Karns City to lose this week, but overall, I think out of those 4 teams, I think Sherwin at Karns City, the numbers are down, and that I would think that's a concern for a program that's used to a lot of players coming out for football. But there is a tradition there, and the players that are on the team know what's expected. They know what Karns City football puts up year in, year out. In the long run, despite my opinion losing to Brockway this week, I think Karns City's going to they'll get their feet under them. They'll get used to any little nuances that Sherwin brings in as the new head coach. I think by the end of the season, Karns City's going to have the best team out of those 4 teams.
It depends on what your definition of immediate results are.
I mean, making an impact on the program compared to recent.
I think you might have to go with Eric Christie because success at Butler might be 3 wins in the playoff spot. this year,
Which
I think is very, very feasible. I think Christie and his staff, the numbers they have, I think they're definitely heading in the right direction.
They did win 3 games last year. They won 3-6 last year,
Yeah.
and Christie won his last game.
Yeah.
Head coach probably.
So I think I don't have to go with Eric Christie. I think they're gonna have a good year this year.
I'm going to go with the third choice. I'm going to go with Brad Dittman out at Union and UC Valley. They've since those two schools merged football teams, they've only won 3 games in 2 years. They only won 1 game last year, and I think with the realignment of District 9, they're playing a much more competitive schedule for themselves this year. I think Dittman scores a few more wins this year at Union UC Valley. That'd be my choice. And we're getting ready to close out our first ever edition, and we will do this weekly by looking at some other sport for some other reason. And what I'm throwing out this week, since we've only had really high school golf start up so far, a lot about Paige Scott, the freshman at Butler. She's just missed being a 3-time Butler Eagle amateur golf champion in the women's division. She lost the playoff last week up at Oakview. Her first varsity match, she carried the 38 against Seneca Valley. Leads Butler to a 16-stroke win. Derek, what are your thoughts on what this girl might be capable of doing at Butler over the next 4 years?
Sarah Zedeker's still the coach up there.
She is.
I enjoy talking to her. And
yeah.
you think the Butler girls golf programs always had 1 or 2 leaders. Like every year, there's always girls that kind of separate themselves. Of course, 7 years ago, Marissa Nicola is basically the standard.
Yes, she is.
But even the last few years, Hannah Folk and Maggie Fesco. So this is just one match, but it might be an indicator of Paige being able to be that one that kind of steps up and leads the rest of the group. We'll see where she is 3-4 weeks from now, but it's obviously a good start, that's for sure.
Yeah, Paige Scott, in my view, she could rival Marissa Nicola. I mean, I've seen this girl play. She's got a very smooth game.
I think she's going to leave as the best female golfer in Butler history. By the time she's done, look, she's a freshman. She's already shooting a 38.
Yeah, first match.
She's already, like you said, she almost won 3 Butler Eagle Amateur Opens.
And this is competing against.
Yeah.
So she was a 7th and 8th grade girl when she was beating women.
And you have to believe she's only going to get better as her high school career goes on. So I think she's going to win multiple state titles. I think she's going to end up being, like I said, the most decorated female golfer, not just at Butler, but maybe in the county.
And this will conclude our first edition of Upon Further Review. Be sure to join us next week when I believe we will be doing this live for the first time. So that should be fun. That should be fun. So if you want to check out, hopefully not too many laughs, but you'll probably get a few. Join us next week.